unknown. What is it? Is it real? And what is it doing there?
Now they're speaking out, saying there are UFOs in U.S. airspace and they need to be taken seriously.
A family in Highland, Michigan believes their house is actually haunted and thinks something is harming their little girl. They're unidentified in U.S. airspace.
The U.S. Navy has finally acknowledged that videos appearing to show UFOs flying through the air are real.
I'm Todd Bates. I've been investigating the paranormal for years, yet still have no definite answers. Join me on this mysterious journey as we discuss all things paranormal, right down to the little gnomes. Why do millions experience these mysterious phenomenon, yet we have no proof? Welcome to Haunted Voices Radio, where I try and gather the pieces that may one day form yet another puzzle. And a good evening, one and all. Holy Moses, December 9th already. Welcome to the live show. It's been a couple weeks. Things have been crazy around the station. They've been crazy in the personal life. Things have just been crazy, but we're here, and that's what's important. We got a great show planned for you tonight. Jacob Rice is going to be joining us here in a little while. Going to rub some announcements out of the way while you guys are getting seated, kind of getting situated in here. And a good evening to you, Diet, down there in beautiful sunny Florida right now. That's just too bad. Yeah, she's having a great time, I'm sure. Hey, I want to get through some new shows coming up here. We just had one of them debut tonight. Twisted Ascensions. Caden and Alyssa Mass did a fantastic job. If you guys want to catch that show, I will have it up and ready for you tomorrow, along with the new episode of this one. Unless I can't sleep, we'll get them up early. Highly unlikely, though, they're going to be tomorrow. But be sure, because they what they did during the shows is the debut is a good time to talk about yourself, to get your information out there and what your show's about and everything. And a lot of people reacted well to it and seemed to really like it. Hey, Wendy. Hey, Corey. And they did an amazing job with it. I mean, I'm proud of them. And then we have another new one coming up here Thursday nights. Voice of Oneness. That's going to be airing, debuting next week. And that's going to take up Thursday nights at 10 p.m. So nights are getting later on the station. Fridays are getting filled. Fridays are full. The station is full, by the way, at the moment. Now, we do have a new one coming with Dee Dee Moonflyer, Twilight Tonight. That's going to be airing Friday nights at 6 p.m. So Fridays are going to be going nonstop from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. That's great. And then we have that morning open as well for a slot. So things are just going right along. The mobile app has been redesigned as well. Those of you guys using that to watch and listen, if you see any glitches, any kind of hiccups in your mobile app, make sure you get the update. That way that can be ready for you. And 30% off the book, The Haunted Voice, now until Christmas. I'm not here to make millions off this thing. I just want to help people with it. So it's 30% off on my website, toddmichaelbates.com. You can go there and just type in the QR code that you'll see on the holiday banner. And that includes hard copy and paperback, 30% off. Yes, now until Christmas, because that is right around the corner. Hey, Ken, glad you guys are joining us. Wowzer, do we have an amazing show? We were a little late because Jacob and I were talking backstage. We were talking shop, and my God, it was fun. But anyway, Jacob Rice grew up in North Wisconsin, deep in dark forest, and along a great big lake. His next adventure with the U.S. Army sent him to New England and Hawaii. Interesting. Afterwards, he settled in Chicago for college and then stuck around for 18 years in Chicago. A lot of history there. Finally, with family in tow, he headed to the Pacific Northwest and staked a claim along a calm, cool inlet of water called Puget Sound. Beautiful. Now he spends his nights exploring haunted places, dread creatures, and urban legends. His toolkit involves digital archives, freedom of information requests, and a pocket magnifying glass, looking for the next clue in the secret history of ghosts and monsters. I love that. Awesome stuff. Welcome to the show, Mr. Jacob Rice. Jacob, how are you?
I am good, sir. How are you this fine evening?
I'm tired. Dog tired.
Let me tell you, age caught up to me. So I got, a big cup of Joe, Pacific Northwest style, which means far more coffee, coffee bean in it than probably I need.
Okay, I don't feel as bad.
Yeah.
Same
Cheers.
thing.
Here we go.
Cheers, my friend. To a long week, but a great week. This is gonna be a lot of fun because I want to pick your brain.
Oh yeah, and we can talk some.
I've
we
been
can talk
looking
some
up some
smack.
things about you, Jacob. You're a busy man.
Me,
You.
busy, me.
You're a busy man. You do some pretty cool stuff out there. You're a great storyteller, great radio host. You're an investigator. So we're gonna wrap all this into one.
Well, let's have at it, brother.
But first thing first, the path. What led you down it?
Okay, so here's the thing. Unlike a lot of people in the field, I really didn't have many experiences with the paranormal until I got into investigating. Now, I got to tell you, you can tell because, I'm blonde and blue-eyed. My family's Scandinavian, so I grew up with a lot of lore with elves and trolls. They were actually strategically used to control my behavior. Like we had Marky the elf that would snitch on me to Santa. When I was out too late, we had this half-collapsed well with Oogalaga, a troll that wanted to eat children and our dogs, because I've always had dogs. And so, yeah, I was manipulated into good behavior. But it was emotionally manipulated.
Yes.
But it really, when I was a kid, I had an encounter. Now, I'm known as a ghost hunter more than anything. My first encounter actually with the paranormal was when I was a kid, and it was a monster. And it happened right in my front yard, right around Christmas time.
A monster in your front yard at Christmas.
Yeah. Now, everyone knows, right, that pretty much this time of the year through about mid-January is gangster AF when it comes to monsters and ghosts.
Seriously. It's craziness. It's Monsterville.
Yeah, very true. So with that story, it was within a week of Christmas. I think it was around December 20th. I was only about 7 years old. And that day, northern Wisconsin, we get a lot of snow. And there was a blizzard, a whiteout happening all day. And it was the kind of thing that had sleet mixed into it. So you could just hear it pinging off your windows. And my bedroom was on the second floor, and it looked over this big oak tree. And I talked about the half-collapsed well with Oogalaga in it. Well, I don't know. It's probably just 9 or 10 at night, but it's right around winter solstice. So the sun, it was a gray, dark day to begin with. So you can imagine, like at 9 p.m., pitch black. There's this one lamp outside that my dad put up because I lived half-mile off the main road, up a hill and into the woods. So that's the only, and you can't really see the dirt road that takes you down, and especially in the winter when it's covered. So we had this one big lamp light that was this beacon. And the light, shone over this tree. And of course, it's all knobby. It's got those branches that look like, monster claws sticking up and everything. And then you got this pit well. Well, my neighbors, Mr. Halverson was his name, and he had a farm. Let's just say the fencing wasn't the best in the world. And sometimes his critters would make it over into our yard. And that night, it was the sheep. So you can imagine this mass of moving cotton balls inching their way into our yard. And I'm just sitting there with like my dog, Bogey, who's a German Shepherd. And he's looking and he's like, because he wants to go chase the sheep, right?
Of course.
And I'm like, don't have mom and dad come up here. For one thing, I wasn't supposed to have you in my room, but whatever. And so as one of the sheep is getting closer to the well, I see these two black straggly arms with like hooks come out and spear one of the sheep and flip it over on its body, its back, and it's like shaking, and it just hooked another one into its belly and yanked it
Dang,
into
that's
the
fun
well.
times for a
Yeah.
kid.
Well, no, I'm just like sitting there the whole time. I'm glad this is on video so people can see the dumb expression there. But if you're just listening, big eyes, gaping mouth kind of
I
thing.
can only imagine.
Yeah.
It's
And I'm like,
horrifying.
and the thing is, because the snow was coming down so much, like you can see the blood smear at first, but then everything gets covered up with the snow. Of course, all the other sheep scattered. That was just like bunny rabbits hightailing out of there through thick snow and everything, or deep snow. And so the storm lasted about another day. And I think it was on the second morning, things had cleared up, because it's Wisconsin. And, when it's sunny, that means it's 20 below. So my dad is with Mr. Halverson and everything, and they're trying to get all the sheep together and stuff. And my dad looked down the well and saw something. It was probably about 12 feet deep at this time, now that I think about it as an adult, but it seemed like a bottomless pit, when you're
Sure,
7.
that's 12 feet still pretty deep.
Yeah. And my dad was just like, boys, because I have 2 older brothers, is like, go back in the house. And I'm like, do I bring this up? Is this what I think it's going to be? And Mr. Halverson goes over, shoots the old man glare. He has like
this old man glare
with like that fan eyebrow effect, because, they haven't been trimmed in a while, let's just say. And he's just like, get in the house now and do not come outside. And then look at my dad, because I'm just like I'm going to listen to this jagoff. And my dad's like, scoot. And I'm like, okay, Dad. And so I go up with my brothers to my room because we could look out. And so my dad hooked up a rope to the back of Mr. Halverson's tractor, and he went down in and wrapped it. And you could see the sheep. The sheep was really there, and it flopped up outside the well, and it was gutted. And the legs was snapped. And, so you can imagine all this white, but it was so cold. It's kind of like rubies.
Yeah.
Crusted around. So it actually wasn't as disgusting as you would think, because it looked like, and so, I mean, that one in the back of my dad's pickup truck, covered up. And I just remember the rest of the day, like trying to hunt down sheep that were scattered all over. We had like 10 acres or so, 8.5, I think it was, actually, on the farm. I lived in a farm. We weren't farmers. It's just an old farm, but we weren't farmers. And I pulled my dad's coat, and he just looked at me and he said, did you see what kind of monster it was? So that was like the first thing, and then nothing until 2007.
Really?
Yeah, nothing.
So, when 2007 hits, what happened?
Well, so I'm living in Chicago, and it's the middle of July. It's about July 15th. And I played beach volleyball quite a bit. So I'd been out in the sun on the beach all day. I didn't live far from the beach. And so I go back and get to my apartment building. So my apartment building, back in the day, like the 20s and 30s, it's one of those big Art Deco style luxury hotel resorts kind of things.
Nice.
But now over the years, it got converted into apartments. So, since it's kind of a historic building, they had to preserve like the exteriors and the wall ornaments. I wish I knew all these things like sconces, but this isn't lingo, I know. But it had that kind of copper ceiling with that Art Deco styling. And
gorgeous.
I get in the elevator, and it's the kind of thing with the gold trim around the outside, angels and trumpets in the corners of it. But inside the elevator, it's kind of a bus. You go, and it's like linoleum floors and cheap wood paneling.
Linoleum floor.
But they still have those classic elevator buttons. And I lived on the 12th floor at the time. So I hit 12, and normally, it's about a minute to get up. But it shook, and you hear those really creaky chains going, and you hear that kind of creak, thump sound. I'm just like, This is not the normal elevator. Usually you just hear the chain going, and up you go. And we get to, I was the only one in the elevator. So I get to about the 6th floor, 7th floor, and it stops. It just kind of gives a little jerk and shake and stops.
Stuff.
So I'm like, okay, hit the intercom to call downstairs. But as I'm doing that, it seems like the elevator starts to shake more. And this bright golden glow starts to form. And of course, I'm falling back. I'm like, I'm stuck in the elevator. I'm stuck in the elevator. I'm stuck in the elevator. And the intercom just turns to static. And so now I'm pretty much butt down on the floor, like, what the hell is going on? And I'm thinking, I have sunstroke. I have heat stroke. Something like this is happening to me. And so there's the glow, and I start to see a silhouette of a man with an obvious flat top. You know, if you're in the military, you know that flat top haircut.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like the silhouette is a darker golden glow, and then you have your standard yellowish golden color coming off of it. I'm like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want, but I'm fine. Everything's good. You just leave me alone. And then it kind of whiz bang fizzles out, and the intercom comes up, and they're like, sir, do you want us to call 911?
Wow.
And then, you know, I had to wait for, what's the name of the big elevator company? You know, there's only like two. Can't remember their name.
Oh, yeah. The L2 elevator.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm stuck
Starts
there
with
for
an
like
O.
I'm stuck there for like another 40 minutes. They come, there's a way to crank them up a little bit. So I go up to the 7th floor, and then I just take the stairs up. I'm like, F that. Plus my dog needed out badly. Let me tell you, I can't have my little puppy going pee my boxer Rhea. Love you, Rhea. And so that was really the experience that had me start down the path. And so, you know, first things first, I checked myself out. I like took my temperature because I thought I had sunstroke or heat stroke or something like that. And I'm like, other than just because I'm pasty as AF, you know, being a little sunburnt, like my temperature was fine. I wasn't clammy.
That's horrible.
I wasn't, you know, I peed fine. You know, if you've got it, usually you're peeing brown, right?
Usually. Yeah.
Yeah, usually. And I'm like, so I call my brother, and I'm like, so my bros and I are close and everything. I have 2 older brothers. And I'm talking to Charlie, and I'm like, dude, this happened to me. Have you ever had this kind of thing? And he's like, what day was this? And I tell him it's like July 15th. And he's like, what did you see? And it's like, looked like, I don't know, kind of a portly dude with a flat top. And my brother Charlie, because I was really little at the time for this, it happened to be my grandfather's, the anniversary of his death. He had died 30 years previously.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that kind of did it. And but to be honest though, because I'm a nerd, I'm not going to flap my gums unless I know things, unless we're BSing.
Sure.
What the hell, we'll go for it, right? But I think I spent 1.5 years like gingerly edging my way into this paranormal stuff. So I would go buy the books. You know, we have Amazon at the time, so I'm ordering the books, going online and reading about ghost hunting stuff. And the shows are on, and I'm watching the shows, and I'm like, I think I can do this better than how they're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was it. 2 years later, I formed Ghostly Activities, my ghost hunting team. Actually, it was just a duo. It was me and my BFF, Celine. And off we went on this mystical paranormal adventure.
And that's what I want to talk about, are some of those adventures, because some of those are pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely want everybody, wants you to talk about that when we come back. We're just going to take a short break here real quick. When we come back, folks, more with Jacob Rice. Stay tuned.
Certified psychic medium Stephanie Lynn creates an authentic connection between the living and the spirit world. Stephanie knows she is here to help heal, educate, and provide validation that there is more after death, and allows herself to be a conduit and work as a team with spirit to pass on messages from their world to ours. Stephanie Lynn also works as a spiritual life coach to help you achieve, create, and manifest your best self and life. Looking for help communicating with an animal? Searching for a past life regression therapist? Or dealing with a paranormal experience? Stephanie Lynn is here to help. For a list of full services, visit her on Facebook under Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive. That's Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive. Ellie Weisensell's psychic medium is a medical intuitive that specializes as a body code practitioner. As an energy healer, Ellie offers additional services that allow her modalities to be intertwined with energetic healing. Within your subconscious lies information that knows everything about you and why you deal with specific conditions. The subconscious can be considered the blueprint to your entire body. With Ellie working physically with your subconscious mind, we detect what negative emotions are trapped and where they are stored within the body that is causing you your emotional and physical pain. This work is designed to remove imbalances and correct them energetically, getting to the root cause of why you have your condition, to help balance your body so it may heal itself. Your body is infinitely wise and wants to be in balance. The body code is not only gentle for humans, but it is also a gentle process to help animals. For more information, contact Ellie Weisensell at the website below.
Nearing the bottom of the hour. Holy cow. Welcome back, everybody. Haunted Voices Live. I'm your host, Todd Bates. Those of you just joining us, you missed the first part of the show with our guest, Jacob Rice. You can just search Google. I'm going to put that, I'll probably put the archive up tomorrow morning. So you'll just be able to just search Haunted Voices, Jacob Rice, and we'll share the links and everything for you too if you guys missed the first part. Because I know it's Friday nights. It's investigation weekends. I mean, they're hopping out there. And speaking of which, these are some things I want to pick your brain about.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to talk about before we get into some ghost and investigation stories and things is equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Some of this new equipment is just blowing my tiny mind. I don't understand why we're advancing when we haven't really figured out other things in the past yet. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does.
Because there's so much left to learn, it shouldn't just be dumped. It was just the whole magnetics of it was just dumped. And they moved on to digital.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Jake?
Well, so I'm known as the tech guy with my different teams. And I gotta say, there really hasn't been much of an advancement. You're just getting more all-in-one gadgets.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff in a brand new 3D printed hard case with the same old gadgets and sensors because the sensors got smaller. And that's it. Like you can take the Eddy Plus, all of the stuff that it does from EMF to temperature, vibration, all of that stuff already existed. I forgot who, it's a company out of Texas. Mind you, I do have 2 Eddy Pluses. The data loggers. It's just the sensors got smaller. You could package it a bit better. And like if you go out to Ghost Stop or Ghost Hunters equipment, you're going to see a lot of other gadgets that are doing these like 4 or 5 environmental tests all at the same time. It doesn't prove you got anything because remember, they're super sensitive and they pick up everything. It's just probably detecting a gnat better than
you're picking up a fly or perhaps Jesus.
Yeah. And so in a way, I'm very, if you've gone to my website and you've read my reviews, if they deserve to be destroyed, I will destroy them. If I think they have a practical use, and I'm going to be like, here's the pros, here's the cons, this is the price point. You might want to look into something else.
What's a piece you would recommend, Jacob? I mean, there's a lot of new researchers coming in the field, and equipment is expensive.
It
Times are
is.
tough.
hmm
What's something that you feel they should pick up that would
Okay.
come in handy for them?
Yeah. So the first things first, if you're total newbie, start with your phone and get really good at using it. Because really, what types of evidence? Well, let's call it data. Data
Data.
will you collect? You're going to see something, you're going to hear something, you're going to feel something, which is really tricky to prove. And you might see something engage. You might see something in the background move or something like that. So no one said you had to dive in and try to collect all 4 different data types at one time. I usually recommend start with audio because the most common ghostly data point you'll get are those ghost voices called EVPs, or electronic voice phenomena.
Mhm.
So just take out your phone, because if you got an iPhone or an Android, they've got really good microphones on them now. So
They
just make
really
sure,
do.
so just make sure you put your phone into what do you call it, flight mode,
Like an
something like that.
airplane mode. Yeah.
Shut off data, shut off Wi-Fi, and all that stuff. And then just use that. Now the thing is, don't hold it in your hand. Put it down, because the mics are sensitive. You might pick up the rustling, jiggling of your hand.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but start there, and then once you get good at that, then start using the video camera. And everyone's like, "No, I got to do ultraviolet or full spectrum," which is, the purple, pink
Thermal.
color, fuchsia. That's the fuchsia stuff you see. Or I got to do night vision, infrared, the green stuff. Well, so folks, reality check. When you look at the best ghost phenomena photos, it's almost always normal light. And no one said you had to ghost hunt at night. No one said you had to go lights out,
That's true.
because most of the people see with daylight. So whenever I hear this, now don't get me wrong, I'm always turning off the lights, right? I mean, hypocrite. Here you
Oh,
go.
sure. So you can
But
see yourself.
yeah, but I mean, when you're starting out, your phone is perfect for it. But here's the one gotcha that a lot of people don't do, because they'll use the video editors on their phone or the audio editors. You still have to learn how to take it off and clean up the video and take out the noise in it, which is like the white noise, that hiss you kind of hear in the background. It's
Mhm.
everywhere. It's just your brain kind of filters it out. You still have to learn how to do those things. So I would say invest time in learning how to use the software, as well as use your phone to begin with. After that, I'd make some other recommendations, but I'm telling you, like, for that first 3 months and stuff, just use your phone.
You're
And
right. There's a video camera on there. There's a
Mhm.
camera on there. There's a voice memo recorder.
Mhm.
There's everything they need, and if they put it in the airplane mode, that shuts off. That acts kind of like a digital
Faraday
Faraday
box.
cage.
Yeah.
And that's good. They can use their phone. That's
Mhm.
great, because this equipment gets technical. I mean,
Yeah.
I came back. I retired from the field, thank God, and I come back, and all this stuff's here, Jacob. There's all this SLR this, and
Oh, I
I'm like, wait a minute. You
that
mean to
is
tell me there's a stick man on the ceiling?
so that is one. Okay, full disclosure, I work for the company that makes them. That
Okay.
makes the Connect, the the Xbox stuff. So I spoke to a product manager about it. Now, the current ones, the technology has changed, but the ones that they're turning into the ghost hunting gadgets, which, by the way, this is super sexy. You can point it at things, and every time you're gonna get like a little stick man and stuff. That's very, very sexy, just like all the other whiz bang blinky gadgets out there. Very, very sexy. Ooh, look. Uh, it is. I got lots of blinking gadgets that do those alerts and everything. It's really fun. But with the SLS, it is very much made to shape the human body. You get 2 formats, standing up or sitting down. And it knows how to read what would be a head, shoulders, and arms. And, in standing mode, legs. Sitting is like if your legs are together and you've got like the 2 columns down there. That's how it's made. It's also made to be used stationary. And you have a pretty much like generalized, like a 10 by 10 box that it can read. and it's trying to do things in 3D. But every time you move it, so you notice all the ghost hunting shows, I'm going to talk some smack. They're always walking around with it.
Yes.
It's always in troubleshooting error mode. That means it will map a stick figure to anything that matches a profile at all.
That's horrible.
So you really
That's
can't
so
like
misleading.
but yeah, true. But here, I mean, if you want to use it correctly, pretty much get a tripod, put it on it, put it about 4 feet up. It's made to be about 4 feet up off the ground. You can get away with 3. It caps out at 6. I wouldn't do anything over 6. But plus, if you have it at 6 feet, you're really freaking tall. You might be that monster in the wild.
It's just pretty tall. It's almost
Yeah.
Guardians.
Yeah. And, clear white wall, just you standing there, nothing else. And that, I would say, would probably be the best case to use it for. But yeah, otherwise, that thing's BS. Whenever I see it used on all the shows, I'm like, why are you walking around? It's not made to do that. But for a gadget, I would say is worth the money. I can tell you, I never go anywhere without my Mel 8704R REM ATDD. So it's the kind where you pull the antenna out. It's got the REM pod effect on it, that beeps and stuff. Yeah, I like that one.
Okay, with all these devices put together, of course, in my day, they were definitely all separated and heavy. But with all of these put together, do they interfere with each other? Can you really count on those readings being positive and not false positive?
So, well, I mean, they're so sensitive to begin with, anything will set them off. So that's why I would say if you do have a lot of gadgets, see if they're going off at the same time. Space them out, put them like 3 to 5 feet away. The bad thing is with the K2 meters, a lot of the EMF type readers, their ranges can go out to 25 feet. So, I mean, that's bigger than most rooms. So you really have to be careful.
Quite a bit larger.
Anything that's battery powered, if you've got your phone with you, even if it's off and stuff, it can still pick it up. Yeah. So I would say, put some things in different corners of the room and see how they respond. But at the end of the day, this is why I'm like, you really don't need much, just something for visual, something for auditory. If you want to measure something that moves, for example, I had the footstep tracker and we were at Investigation in Centralia, put it in the hallway. It starts going off and it gets stronger and stronger. And the haunt was known for someone going up and down the hall. Turned out to be the train. About 5 minutes away, it started picking it up.
No kidding.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is, I mean, I'm a gadget guy. It's like I have I have like a traveling museum of ghosty gadgets, and like the Ovilus is crap. It's all random. It's just random. It goes like this: if you have a limited vocabulary about stuff that goes with a haunt, murder, sex, gun. I mean, if you only put so many words there, and then the other thing is, if you read the instructions, it says only take the ones that apply to your investigation.
Exactly.
So you cherry pick, eh?
Yeah, they've already picked them out for you. All you have to do is place them.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say there are a few gadgets I always bring with me, and that would be the Mel meter, the 8704 R REM ATDD, though I turn off the temperature because that's annoying. And there's always little temperature anomalies to begin with. I do use the Eddy Plus, the data logger. I do use that one quite a bit. I'm a huge fan of my Boo Buddy. I love my Boo
Buddy. Okay.
Boo Buddy, the interactive
I've heard about this is this creepy doll, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it scares the crap out of people.
Yeah.
It makes some kind of wicked song, doesn't it? Whenever it goes off, is that
so it asks questions about every 30 seconds or so, and if it starts to detect vibration, temperature, EMF, it'll change its questioning, but it starts out with like, "Hi, my name's Boo Buddy. What's yours?" And then it quickly gets to A, B, C, D. Can you sing the rest of the song for me?
Oh, I would haul ass.
Oh, but here's the thing: is you don't have to drop like $300. Is it $300? It's
Probably.
up there. If you do the interactive one, there's a junior one that isn't as advanced, but you can download the Boo Buddy app, put it on your phone. Put that puppy into record mode, get a teddy bear, and just play the questions and see if
Yeah.
anything speaks to the teddy bear.
Shove it up the bear's keister and use
Yeah,
it.
because I mean, even though it talks about, "Are you holding my hand?" for, like, movement, or, you can see its little paws turn red if there's EMF that goes off and everything like that, they don't have a measurement guide for you. You don't know how strong the stuff is.
Hmm.
So, really, all it's doing is asking questions into a dark room. But I love my Boo
At
Buddy.
random. It's just a
Yeah,
random
yeah.
question generator
Yep. But like I
that
said, if
scares
it
the hell
gets
out of people.
yeah, and I did have one case with June Nixon. I know she'll listen tomorrow. We were on an investigation, private residence, and we had Boo Buddy, and she thought children were stalking her at her ghost children.
Poor
And it started
June.
with, it's like, "Can we be friends? Let's be," and she flipped out. And next thing I knew, we were packing up in the car and driving away.
No way. That thing,
I
I'm
tried to
horrified.
explain. It's just
I am
she was not
horrified
having
of
it.
dolls.
Yeah.
That thing would be gone. That thing, I would rip that thing to pieces. I'm
Oh,
horrified of little dolls like that.
I love my Boo Buddy. I got
We've got a few questions here.
Yep.
What is this? Hello, gentlemen. Have either of you tried Dyceanin goggles? Fascinating results.
Is this like what they're using for like newfangled spirit photography? Like you can see the aura around people?
See
With
the
it?
auras?
I haven't used it. I'm just asking if that's what it is.
Well, he said he'd love to use them while doing an investigation. It would definitely level up the results. I'm
I'll have to
sure
look that
Wendy's
one
going to
up.
be on the hunt for that.
Well, I will be. That's a
No,
gadget.
no, I mean in there in the she
Oh, yeah.
found the Boo Buddy. She'll find those things.
Okay.
and
Oh,
put
is
'em
she
in
dropping the links?
comments.
She's dropping. This is what I do on our show. I'm always dropping the links. She's dropping the links on your
Yeah,
show.
she's putting the links in there for Boo Buddy and all that fun stuff. Hey, Corey's got a question here. What about cameras for still pictures? Are there pros and cons of digital versus older film style cameras? That's a great question.
Yeah, so there is. So the one thing that I would say we're at the point where still photography, I think, is less advantageous than you think. I think because it doesn't give the context of the
Mhm.
investigation.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm like talking more about video, because you can see the lead up to the events and everything. And plus, if you've got a high enough res digital camera or something like that, you can just export the still with it, and it'll be crystal clear. I have tested the Kodak. If you remember the Kodaks and stuff with the little instants.
110s. Oh,
Yeah, that would introduce so much noise into the photograph. I don't know if you
They're
could. It
horrible.
looks really cool though, but I don't know if you could count on it because even the film isn't always the best and it doesn't always develop well. Um, so I gotta
Polaroids.
tell you, I've only used really digital other than the Polaroid. I've only used digital cameras. I would say go for as high as resolution as you can, because
Sure.
that lets you manipulate the film, not in a bad way, people, but you can change the exposure and see what was in the background on the photos better with a higher res digital.
Yeah, it may help you
those cameras.
get those dust orbs under control. Yeah, this segment brought to you by Pledge. Yeah, but digital cameras have come a long way as well.
Yeah.
I remember when those things used to be 1 megapixel.
Yeah,
They were horrible.
yeah.
You know, it was like Cubert. It was terrible. But they've evolved so much. Now, do you think with them evolving, let's say to 12 megapixel like they
Mhm.
are, do you think that that would automatically correct a photo to take those anomalies out?
I don't think so. I think whatever's there is caught on
Okay.
film. But I think with the software and just by zooming in the resolution, you may be able to debunk what was there. Because if you see it on your phone, it may look like something.
Mhm.
And then when you see it on a big screen like I've got here in front of me on my computer, you can see the better silhouette or what it is. And then if you change the exposure, make it lighter, make it darker, you probably have, and because the thing is the resolution will keep the actual artifact that could be there. So you should be able to debunk easier.
Debunking easy is a good thing. It is. It's too hard. especially these days, there's so much room for error because of your Photoshops, your AI stuff that's out there. So many things are being manipulated. You don't know what's right and what's wrong. I mean, I just saw a TikTok video of a guy saying that his house was haunted, and he said it's been playing with the knives in the knife thing, and all of a sudden a knife flips out and sticks in the floor. Now, I'm thinking, is that legitimate? Did this really happen? Is this some kind of camera trick? I can't trust it.
Yeah, no. So the whole thing with that one, I watched it, and thanks to Merle from Spaced Out Radio, co-host there, he showed me this TikTok video. And I look at it, and the big thing that stands out to me is it's a little too perfect. And also the way that the camera jiggles, he moves it slightly before the knife goes flying.
Just a tad, yep.
Yeah. The thing I would ask for, and here's the whole thing with, since I've been ghost hunting since 2007, I usually publish very gory, detailed ghost hunting reports. And while I take the snippets of the evidence out, like things moving, lights going off, ghosty voices, things walking across the camera, I keep those files and say, if you want them, I have them. Please take them. No one ever takes me up on it. Ever. I'm like, I have the full, and all I need is your email address. It's a G drive. Mind you, I'm not going to let you edit, but you can download
you can view it all you want.
You can download it all you want. And no one has ever taken me up on it.
That's sad.
I know. I'm just like, this was really cool shit or stuff. You should have seen what happened like the 30 seconds before I put the slice in to fit, the 1 minute time limit I have for a short or something like that.
Hi, Liz. Welcome. It's okay. You're late. Don't sweat it. We were late too, but no. I mean, this is some really cool stuff with the way, because me getting out of the field and kind of coming back into it and seeing all these new developments and all these new things, and you've explained them very well, and I cannot thank you enough for that, because some of this stuff confuses the hell out of me, like the stickman thing and the laser grid. I get it, but yet I don't get it. Is there such a thing as overkill? Is there such a thing as too much, to where you're setting off alarms that shouldn't be set to begin with? You just have too many bells and whistles, and you're leaving your common sense at the door.
Well, yeah, I mean, here's the other thing too, that you're right. I did go through my period where I would come with like 2 trunks full of gadgets and have them all out, and then I'd forget some of them. Okay. I would say simplicity is best. For one thing, I don't think people can handle that much stuff going off at one time. So if you got one gadget, I had this one, I love this gadget too, from Ghost Stop. I gotta remember the name. It was the GS2 laser grid system. I love that thing. Anyway, it would project a laser grid, and then it would detect movement and temperature, and it would graph it all on this little, mind you, that it was like that big, very hard to see.
Sure.
But you would hear if something approached you. If the temperature changed, you would see it on the screen. Sound alerts, very sexy. But the problem is, if you spend all of your time looking at your gadgets, you might miss something else. Unless you have like 4 cameras up. But I got to tell you, I would do stuff like that. And ain't nobody want to go through 32 hours of video, especially when it's mostly dark.
And that's what I don't understand. It seems like during investigations these days, what I've seen is their nose is down to the phone just like anybody else. No one has their head above the equipment looking at the atmosphere with their own senses.
Yeah, and I got to say, this is one of the reasons I go heavy on video nowadays. And that's just because I can set them up and capture everything, and then I can actually experience. That pressure's taken off, that I got to get it. It's got to be. No, I got the stuff set up and it's filming. I'm most likely not going to miss it. Because you might see things with your own eyes that don't pick up on infrared or full spectrum. Like me and shadow people, seen like 3 or 4 of them. In fact, Spooked in Seattle had one walk in front of the camera and nudge it. 6 witnesses there saw it. So you could see the shadow on like the table with the candles going, and you can see the camera like jerk from it.
Oh, wicked.
The infrared didn't pick up the mass, but there was like 4 of us sitting at this table, and we saw it walk, and we
You
thought,
saw it with your own eye.
because the camera I was using was only 10 feet away from us.
See,
So we saw it, and it didn't record, but you can see the camera move. You can see the shadow cast on the table, even though I'm filming in infrared, like shadow, they're still part of the light spectrum in it. And we had candles out lighting things up. And so we thought, did a homeless person, a homeless person dart by us? So we went to look to see if there was a homeless person that got into the underground. But
somebody look for the bum.
Yeah, but the one thing I do want to say with all the gadgets, as I talk with my hands, because I'm really getting into it here.
It's all right.
When you think about it, say the target spirit you're going for, isn't that horrible? Say the target, my target. So my test to identify this ghost, I've got a gizmo and gadget that's going to sound like a fire alarm with lasers shooting out of it, and it's beeping all the time. If you're from 1915, I would be scared as hell and flee.
Yep.
So why do you, I mean,
but yet a lot of it's needed. A lot of that equipment's needed because we just don't have what it takes without it.
Yeah. And so sometimes, like with my favorite GS2 laser grid system,
moderation, I guess, is what I'm looking at.
I would like put my hand in front of it if something was there and say it doesn't hurt. And I'm like watch me walk. If they're intelligent, right? If it's an intelligent awning, and I'll walk toward the gadget and set off. It's like, this is how I know you're present because I can't see you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say things like, I'm going to ask a lot of dumb questions because I can't hear you either. For EVPs.
And about some
I'm like, what's your name? And because if it's a popular haunt, like take Waverly Hills, let's just be real. If the two nurses really do exist at Waverly Hills, they've got to be sick of, are you Nurse Ratchet? I'm making something up. It's like, did you hang yourself in room 5? Like, if you're gonna ask that, I always come in and say, hi, if you're here, I don't mean to offend you. I'm gonna ask some stupid questions because I can't see or hear you.
Mm-hmm.
My first stupid question is, hi, I'm Jake, what's your name?
Yeah, that
like
about sums it up, because it has to throw them off. It has to, I mean, there's times where I've done sessions like that and I've forgotten that I'm talking to another human being, for crying out loud. Yeah. You have to remember that and ask those kinds of questions to get, I try to make them easy, but
I mean, I'm like, we're doing 20 questions with the dead. It's like speed dating, just without any reciprocation.
Yeah. Dead, did it hurt? Why? You're going to stay, you're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I love how the sessions work. I love how the old school sessions used to work. The question answers, the things of that nature. Now they do these things all at the same time with equipment that's so sensitive. It's picking up audio from 4 houses down.
Oh, so I had this experience. I bought a very shishi mic, and it was a broadcast quality microphone, shotgun mic. And this was we were investigating a tattoo parlor in Olympia, Washington. So I live up in the Pacific Northwest, not far from Olympia. And with that mic, I could hear cars stopping at the light 6 blocks away. So you can imagine I'm going to get an EVP for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the first time I was going to say, the first time I tried it, my dog, Daisy's like 50 feet away from me and she licks her lips and it was like, right in my
it smacks. And that's what I don't understand is it's so sensitive. That is so sensitive that you really can't get anything out of that. It couldn't be credible because you don't know if that came from that room or outer space.
Yeah. I mean, and everyone could say, well, it's like if it's right in front of the microphone, which with that kind of mic, everything's right in front of the microphone. Did it answer the question clearly? I'm like, well, if it's a yes, no kind of thing, anyone, I mean, yeah, nah are pretty common words of vernacular. But I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm like, if you can afford really good video and audio, go for it. A lot of the other stuff, meh.
Yeah. I would definitely agree. Those would be the two things that you need. The other stuff is good to try, I think.
Mhm.
I want to try some of it more. I want to work with the REM pods more and things like that.
Oh yeah.
And never a boo baby. Never a boo
Oh,
baby.
I'll bring my boo along. His name's Clarence. He's awesome.
The dolls scare the hell out of me. But before, closing things up here,
Mhm.
and Wendy is looking everything up for us as well. She's got all the links to that, those goggles. She found the goggles, Jacob.
I'm going to get those goggles.
There's on
Next time you have me on, I'm going to be wearing them. I'll tell you what. It's like, Todd, Samara's behind you.
Tell everybody about your show, about where they can find you, about what's coming up, what you got going on. The mic's yours, my friend. Take it away.
Okay. So from a plugging perspective, every Wednesday I do a radio show with Wendy Schindler, who's in the chat right now dropping links, and Michael Moren / Merle from Spaced Out Radio. It's called Mystic Moon Cafe. We cover all sorts of paranormal topics. We're more on the ghosty side of things, but we do love some cryptids, especially dogmen and kraken. So you can join and listen to us there. I've got a podcast called Ghostly Activities. It's a mix. I do some ghost stories. I do some ghost hunting tips. I do some equipment reviews. I rag on some ghost hunting shows. Sometimes I do some interviews with it. So that's Ghostly Activities on Podbean. That's the host. I've got my website, Ghosts and Monsters. It is loaded with my years of doing gadget review. It's good stuff. Loaded. So go check that out. Just make sure you use the filter if you want to see ghost hunt stuff. You can see how I do ghost hunts. I mean, I put it all out there. Put some ghost stories out there. I got 3 books. I wrote 3 books. One's ghost stories. One is pretty much the ghosts and spirits you'll meet on an investigation. And one book is how to do investigations plus paranormal protection. So this is where I had to reach, because I'm really very much, Wendy can agree with this, I'm really much the objective type guy. But I did look into like white light protection techniques, how to use psychic abilities, clairaudience, clairvoyance, the herbs and crystals. I've got that in there too. Mind you, folks, you'll probably read it and say, oh, this is pretty academic. Yeah. But click the links.
Some of the best work.
Yeah, but click the links and it'll take you out to like demonstration videos and stuff. The books are made to be for Kindle, so you can actually use the links and go out to the web to
nice and interactive.
Stuff. Yeah. So if you go to Ghosts and Monsters, just use the contact us form for that one. I don't think I have the contact stuff on my podcast though, but through the website, ghostsandmonsters.com.
And then if you had any words to say, new investigators coming in, new people that they finally came out of the darkness and they want some answers now. They're not afraid anymore. The taboo's wearing off. What would you tell them? What's some advice you would give some new investigators? Yeah,
I would say experience is the best teacher. So don't be afraid to do the ghost hunts, even if it's by yourself. Still get some good books and resources. Like if you go to Ghosts and Monsters or you search, I'll have like 5 best ghost hunting books, something like that with reviews. Don't be a true believer and don't be a pure skeptic, because reality is much messier than that, folks. And if you want to learn from someone, I would say shop around in wherever you live. I know some people live in areas where there's just not a lot of ghost hunting teams, but shop around, see different techniques, how people do their investigations. And I would say the big thing, always go in with an objective. I want to learn this. And then once you have that objective, it's like, I want to capture the white woman crying at this bridge. Okay. So learn to think about picking it apart. White woman visual. I know I need a camera. It's going to be at night. I need a camera that works in dark or in low light settings. You want to capture the white woman crying at the bridge, audio. So get a decent, like even if it's your phone, but get a good mic that can reject a lot of ambient sound. I mean, and use that to kind of guide your learning. And that's pretty much how I learned. Was I set an objective, broke it apart into its components, and then learned as much as I could about each one of those components. Mind you, this isn't going to happen overnight. So that's why I'm like, shop around, go on some ghost hunts with a different team, read a lot of books on the subject. Not everyone's book is worth reading. But, there's some really go-to folks like Lloyd Auerbach's books are really good on it. I learned a lot from him. This lady catches some crap from time to time with her techniques, but I learned a lot from Fiona Broome and her books as well. For one thing, she doesn't claim to know it all, but I think she gives a lot of good insights into it. The first book I ever bought was the Everything Ghost Hunting book by, I think it was something Ellis Martin. Melissa Ellis Martin, I think was her name. I learned a lot there. And then my favorite book, actually, while I was learning, was Chris Balzano's Pictures Itself Ghost Hunting. I think it was from 2008. It's kind of like a textbook, but like I said, I'm kind of nerdy academic that way.
Yeah, like the technical kind of writing.
Yeah. And I really liked his book. That's probably the one I liked, which it's not in print anymore, but I think you can find it on Amazon used. And it's only like $10 in most cases. So yeah, read, do, reevaluate, and keep the
great
cycle
advice.
going.
That is amazing advice. It really is, because there's so many rabbit holes you can go down in this field. And I just, I'm not saying everybody's going to sit around a campfire and sing Kumbaya here in this community. I don't see the unity being unified anytime soon. It's going to take a lot of work. But hopefully,
and you don't have to
together.
Yeah, you don't have to put up with anyone's smack. If they're like lording over you, it must be blah, blah, blah. Hightail it. You probably drove there, right? I got to get some batteries out of my car. Let me go to the Dairy Queen. I might need myself a blizzard after this.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you, of course, for listening and putting up with Jacob and I here for the past hour. My goodness, it has been amazing. You are amazing. I can't wait to have you back on here again.
Oh,
talk.
Hey, you got to come back on my show too. We got some more smack talk to do.
Love to. Love to. But definitely thank you for taking time and coming on here tonight, educating everybody, educating me. And I learned a ton. I learned a ton from you.
Well, thank you for letting me flap my gums so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. And all you folks, be sure to check out the latest schedule right there on the website. Just go to WLTK-DB.com and select the schedule. Like I said, it's ever changing. We have a full schedule now. A lot of great shows on there to choose from. A lot of metaphysical things. A lot of true crime. There's some true crime shows. You name it, it's all on there. So check out the latest schedule. If you have any questions, contact us, and you can contact us at contact us. That's contact at WLTK-DB.com. It's that simple. So have an amazing weekend. You guys take it easy out there. And if you are out there investigating, stay safe, use your head. Have a good weekend, folks.